30 miles south of Beijing, in China's most famous archaeological site, Shoukoutian, or Dragon Bone Hill. In this cave, dozens of extraordinary skulls and bones have been unearthed, dating back 1 million years to a time when our ancestors were not yet fully human. Scientists call them Homo erectus, upright man. Although Homo erectus has also been found in Africa and Europe, anthropologists have fiercely debated for almost a century where these early Asians came from and whether they belong on our modern family tree. But they do know what Homo erectus looked like based on the skulls that have been found. Their eyes were set far apart under a massive brow ridge. Attached to the brow were thick muscles for chewing which moved the formidable jaw. The size of the jaw and the teeth, 25% bigger than our own, reveal that Homo erectus probably relied on their teeth as tools to grip and pull objects such as animal hides. Simple stone tools showed that Homo erectus was also intelligent. Skulls vary enormously in size, falling in the range of humans today. What ideas were kindled in the mind of these rugged-looking forebears? And what sort of world did they face in the China of 500,000 years ago? Back then, much of the Earth's climate was colder and drier. The seas dropped by up to 300 feet, exposing land bridges like the Sunda Shelf that linked the Indonesian islands to mainland Asia. Much of southern Asia was covered in tropical rainforest. The discovery of extinct elephants throughout Indonesia indicate there were open areas where large animals could graze. The stone tools found with Homo erectus suggest he was a hunter and would have been attracted to big game. We faced stiff competition. Not only were there elephants, bears, leopards, tigers, and rhinos, but also saber-toothed cats, ferocious cave lions with huge teeth used to tear its prey apart. Many erectus bones from Asian cave sites bear gnawing marks, suggesting their owners were dragged to the cave as victims of these fierce predators. But where did these primitive humans come from? Did they originate in Asia or migrate from somewhere else? The trail of clues began in Indonesia, where the very first skull of Homo erectus was found by an adventurous Dutch anatomist, Eugene Dubois, back in 1891. Prospecting for fossils along the banks of Java's Solo River, Dubois unearthed a thick skull cap which he was convinced belonged to a primitive human. At first, his finds were ridiculed, so he hid the bones under the floorboards of his home in Holland. In 1936, German anthropologist Ralph von Koenigswald visited Dubois in Holland, examined the fossils, and decided they were authentic. Von Koenigswald returned to Java the following year, determined to find a well-preserved Homo erectus skull, and he succeeded. This time, nobody doubted that this rugged skull with its beetle brows and massive jaw belonged on the human family tree. Other skulls eventually surfaced in Europe and Africa. The most spectacular was on the shore of Kenya's Lake Turkana. On a broiling August afternoon in 1984, renowned fossil hunter Kamoya Kamau was out prospecting when he spotted a dark brown fragment of skull. It took 5 years for a digging team to unearth one tiny fragment after another, but eventually they assembled a unique find, a nearly complete Homo erectus skeleton. Dubbed Turkana Boy, he stood about 5 feet 4 inches tall. Yet surprisingly, he was still only 12 years old when he died. The boy's tall, athletic build is significant, according to leading Homo erectus scholar Philip Reitmeyer.
That particular boy weighed perhaps 68 kilos if he had been able to grow up. That's 150 pounds. Perhaps a good round average for early Homo erectus in East Africa was closer to 58 kilos, or about 130 pounds. They were tall people also, certainly quite comparable in those respects to us, to modern humans. Large body size would have conferred an advantage on Homo erectus in that larger people are simply able to cover more territory. Larger primates, larger mammals in comparison to smaller ones usually behave that way, simply cover more territory in search of food. It's likely that Homo erectus was also engaging in more hunting and consuming more meat than its predecessors had done. Meat is a highly caloric food. Homo erectus would have been able to meet its energy needs much more efficiently if it were doing some hunting on a regular, more systematic basis than had been done before.
Archaeologists think Homo erectus ate more meat because they found the first well-made stone tools ideal for butchering meat at erectus sites in Africa. Once early humans knew how to make efficient tools and learned how to control fire, they were ready to leave their African cradle and colonize the rest of the world, or so archaeologists have always assumed. The conventional view is that Homo erectus originated in Africa 2 million years ago. They were the first humans to leave the continent, spreading gradually into the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. But in 1994, a stunning series of discoveries threw these old ideas open to question and raised a dramatic new possibility about Asia's earliest humans.